So I got this bucket of dirty water that I use to wash the combine windshield, and apparently didn't dump out. I found it in the barn. So let's see if the ear corn floats. Eva, are you helping? You're helping too much. It's okay. Well, must have got cold enough last night for the water to freeze. But, you know, it's a good sign we did break the ice. I didn't feel like running out a clean, fresh bucket of water. I should dump out my window washings. But they float. I'll have to shout and see what the moisture is, but they're dry enough to pick. Hello, BAME Farm fans. It's the magical moment we've all been waiting for. It's time to pick corn. I changed oil. There's the oil bucket. I greased it, all that good stuff. Put some new filters on it, like a nice new air filter, which we gotta pull because this thing is cold-blooded. And we can give it a nice, good spray of ether. That is definitely a lot. Now keep in mind that I am not shooting it in there and cranking immediately. So we do have like a few seconds of getting back up here in the cab. Oh, and it's really slow. And I gotta do it with one hand. Turn the key, push the hydro lever in the start position, press the start button, and away we crank. Sounds like we're still missing a few cylinders. And we're gonna smoke out every bird in the barn. But I guess you guys can show this to your tree-hugging neighbors. See, I didn't start it before I changed filters, and I'm not wondering if the primer pump doesn't have a small leak now because, you know, I used it. Because it's still awfully wet around the primer pump there. We'll give it a second to warm up. But you definitely didn't hear any knock, so there wasn't too much ether. Good old 426 Alice, right? I know nothing about Alice engines other than it runs and burns diesel and it's straight piped on the turbo and it's loud and smoky when cold. Well, here we are coming up to the head. We left it here, if you remember from the shelling video. See how I can do lining up with this. Oh boy, I feel like I am way off. I am way off to the side. See, it's hard to get used to this just because I'm sitting off to the side. I'm not accustomed to, say, like old Massey's or old John Deere's. So I'm not used to sitting off center on the head. So this is a little interesting. Just a little. Let's see if I can get lined up enough. I can see well enough. We turn the camera and look down. We can see that right there. But I'm not coming up straight at all. Maybe we can push it and make it straight. I'm hoping the feeder house is low enough. I haven't moved it since last year, and leaving the headset here in the dirt might have been a bad idea. Oh, we're squeezing underneath. We got it, just barely. It's probably about all I had when I took it off last year. Time to lift. Like, it goes up and down because there's weight of the head, but that's about it. Time to go do the connections. Well, here we go. Hooking up is kind of like the combine. You know, there's a drive shaft, the pins underneath. So if you want to see that, watch the combine video. There was a bit more of a challenge than I thought. Of course, I haven't hooked this up in a while. So let's hit the lever. We're all spinning. Elevator's going. You can't see that. You just see everything out the front. And we'll give it some RPM and make a guess at just how fast we should go. We'll take off these first couple short rows here. Now pretend that's fast enough. Out here. I took off a lot of headlands with the combine, and I'm now into no man's land, and we'll see what we find. Hopefully I like it and can get out of it, and remembered how I planted this to get through here. I mean, this is the stuff that survived the rain on the first go round, and there's a lot of ugly early planted corn around here, unfortunately. And there's a lot of corn still not harvested in the area, just because they're probably waiting on moisture. But this is 18%, so it's nice and dry, all right, at least for the season we had. It'll probably be a lot better video in the daylight. We can see the ears going up the elevator. From this perspective, it looks fairly clean, but it always looks clean from the cab until you actually look in the wagon. But it's not very bright. This is my first time out this season. So yeah, we'll see how many action shots we really get. Well, here's some nice tall corn, because it's on a it's on a nice tall sloping spot. There's a lot of levers over here, and I just hit the hydro lever instead of the lever to control the head height. Just got real excited there. Definitely a little slower pace than the combine. There's a bit of terrain roll I gotta watch out for. Don't want to dig the tips into the ground. And I see a little bit of snow gathering up on the head. These lights are pretty good for not being LEDs. They're the original factory incandescents. And we've got ourselves a lovely load of ear corn that in the darkness looks fairly clean. We'll have to take a look at this in the daylight. But there's not too many with shucks. Ah yes, here we are the next day. We can see the picker sitting up on the hill, all majestic like. It looks kind of small on the camera screen here. But we're gonna drag these wagons home now because I've got people coming today to buy ear corn. So we gotta get these home. Well, it's time to cross the creek with the first wagon. It was kind of snowing while I was picking. And snow's real fun because it will make the top a little slimy. And of course you see the not level. I keep wanting to dig this out. Yeah, that's the project list to make this more level. I'm holding the camera level, so you see how we're crossing here. We'll see if the wagon slides behind us. Maybe you can see how it's not really. Well, there's a couple times. Oh, lovely. Free deer snacks. Yeah, I wasn't going to be able to pull 3 across there. I didn't want to spin so much. So that's just lovely. But if I had 3 hooked up together, they'd be sliding coming down the hill there. I guess there's a little bit of weight to this ear corn. We'll just kind of take a look at the picker here a second. I had to come up here and get a hitch pin. I know, wouldn't it look a whole lot better without the down corn reel remnants? We didn't take all of it off. I was feeling lazy that day. Plus, I like having the weight on that side for that tire to have some more weight on it. And hopefully we don't need the down corn reel. But we'll say maybe this will try to ward off stupid weather where we get stupid amounts of rain, like right after Thanksgiving or something, and then wind to go with it to huff and puff and try to push my corn over. So hopefully I can get somebody to drive so I can get some action shots. I don't know what it is. I like the yellow corn head on the front. I don't know, it just looks cool the way it's set up with the elevator sticking out the back. It just flows like everything's uphill. Of course, then there's the cab. It looks kind of like a mouse. That's what it reminds me of. You ever seen Rat Race on The Price is Right? It kind of looks like a bigger, cooler version of one of those mice because they got like their tail sticking up in the air, and that's what the elevator's like. Oh, I gotta get this other pin out of the cab. Enough of my weird musings. Well, I will say it's a good sign that those ears are floating. That means the corn's dry enough. That's a good old wives' tale for your old farmer's tale. Oh, we kind of missed that one. It didn't slide down too sideways behind us. I have to go home and demonstrate that. We'll put some ears of corn in the cow's water trough and watch them float. Let's see how we did. Oh, geez. Okay, we got a couple feet to come back. Well, that only took a few attempts at backing up. And now we're perfect enough. Wasn't an easy alignment, but we wiggled it in there. Yeah, you think there are starving children in Africa.